find those connections, the reality of distant parts of the world coming together. Like our C-46 out in front that was actually saw military service in India. And its records show that it actually flew the hump, which was that supply corridor that took military goods from India and Burma in the latter phases of the war into China to keep the resistance active to the Japanese forces in China. And my father flew second seat in some of those planes that did that link between Burma and India, Burma, and China. But we don't know whether, I like to think that maybe that was, he sat in that plane, but who knows? That we don't have those kinds of records. But he also flew a Stinson L5, and I'm not sure, this looks like one, but it also has a metal frame. So I'm not, it would be, if it's a Stinson, it probably is a later model, but again, it was a very durable airplane that could land and take off in extremely short areas. And so he flew into frontline military installations that literally were carved out of the jungle, and they put landing mats down, and these things would be able to, these little planes would be able to carry one wounded soldier out at a time, or carry plasma bottles in or other emergency supplies. But they were right literally on the front lines in the jungle war against the Japanese in Burma, which was, horrible. But it's amazing the degree that which people who were veterans of World War II were certainly made pioneering contributions to aviation, just as their predecessors in World War I did. So a lot of the key people up here had their first fighting experience in the war, and a lot of the planes, which were then surplus, ended up all over the North as well, like our famous Windvane here.
Well, it is really fabulous to think that Santa's family might have a connection to CPY. That's a whole new story.
I love the idea, the possibility of it, but there are many planes that were involved in that airlift, so the chances of that particular plane being the one that he flew in or had missions in is probably not good, but I like to think that there's a possibility that indeed was the case.
Yeah. Well, question for you, because this is the Yukon Transportation Museum.
Yes.
What is the secret? What is the magic that means that you can visit everybody's house in one night in the whole world?
And I tell people it's a very simple equation you can look at, that if there are 36,000 people in the Yukon, and an average of 4 persons per household, and so that would mean that there are essentially 9,000 houses. If you spent only 1 minute landing on the roof, getting out of the sleigh, taking the presents into the house, distributing the presents, coming back up, getting back in the sleigh and going to the next house, every 1 minute, that would mean that I'd have to spend 9,000 minutes doing that. Well, anyone knows that 9,000 minutes divided by 60 minutes is 150 hours. So just to do the Yukon, would take almost an entire week. So I challenge 5th graders and 6th graders, and usually by that time they know what the answer is. And there is an answer on how you do it. But I'll let my viewers decide what that is. And next year we'll give you the answer if you haven't figured it out already.
Thank you, Santa.
You're most welcome.
Hey, Will. Whoa.